but is that okay? It ceases to be Molly Hatchet.
To me, like the Horsemen were always golden as long as you had flair.
So maybe the anchor. If the anchor is there,
the anchor, yeah, I think
if you lose the lead singer,
I think the NWO. I think because it's like if Hulk, myself could still go, like we could do it. We could. I mean, Sean was such an intricate part because he was the guy that put the boots on more often than anybody else. Scott second. So of that early crew, I think that Sean Waltman, Hulk, and I are still a pretty good representation of, just there's nothing you can do when Scott's passed. But at the same time, there were some different. I think there were members of that group that were really solid when Scotty Steiner joined us. Like Scotty was he was a solid NWO guy.
Well, that becomes the thing too. If you're going to be inviting people in every week, who's a good fit for the identity of the faction? Or does it become, who do I need to get over? Who do we need to get over? Give them a shirt.
And that was kind of a thing, but I think that Bagwell and Steiner I think they were entertaining. It was always an entertaining segment when those guys went out there. They kind of played off each other well.
Did you ever object to any of the names being proposed to be in the NWO?
No, I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, it didn't change my paycheck.
No, but for the identity of the group, you didn't ever say.
It's like when you watch. My wife and I. My wife loves like Vikings and like 9th, 10th, 11th century English history. My wife's. So we watched on Netflix last night some movie. It was, and she had watched one of the. It was a young actor that his hair was cut on the sides. He had dreads, and she had watched one of the Viking shows that he was a star of. And he'd been a warrior, and he tried to. At this point of his career, he was, and they're all like it's like a CW type thing,
Mm-hmm.
It's or those Warner Brothers shows where like the guy had the star is like 33 and his son's 21. Like it was like when they had the Vampire Diaries show on one of those, like all the vampires were in high school, but they were all like 35 years old.
Right.
But anyway, we were watching that, and it was just like they were building up to the big battle, and it really didn't matter. You had your 4 or 5 top guys that you were going to follow through the battle, and everybody else was just fodder. So I kind of looked at it. I actually made that analogy as I watched it last night. That you can do all the cutscenes you want, but you're only going to watch. You only want to watch the top 4 or 5 guys.
The main guys, right?
Yeah, doing battle.
Because this gets. The NWO eventually gets. It runs from 96 to, I guess. Well, because then WWE again, 2000, right?
2002.
But after those initial guys, you got Virgil in there. As
Virgil was just I think a rib.
It was a rib that lasted. He was in there for a few years, right?
But he was with I think at that point, Virgil had, people forget that we were trying to portray that it was the WWF at that time that was making the move. That's why Ted was so important, because Ted was a branded WWF guy. And then Virgil was with Ted. So Virgil was a WWF guy. So when you looked on the screen and you saw the optic was that those are WWF guys.
But so Let's throw out a question. Let's take the NWO, because arguably the most successful faction of which you've been a part. As merchandise continues to prove, I see NWO shirts everywhere. I was at the Bruce show. The guy,
The only place they're not is on our royalty fucking.
I didn't go there.
Yeah, there's some creative fucking accounting going on over.
I might have left the goalie out of the net, but I
Yeah.
didn't tell you to take the shot.
Yeah, fucking. I'm the goalie that fucking knocked the fucking puck all the way back and
To
scored.
the other net.
Like, I think it was a Boston goalie that did that not too long ago.
Who was not